Tailwind CSS is a really valuable skill to have as a front-end developer. So in this new tutorial course, we're going to be looking at how we can create this landing page using Tailwind CSS and some vanilla JavaScript. So today we're going to be starting with the first part you can see here is the navbar. So the navbar is the top um, section of your website where users can navigate. Maybe you have a call to action, and your website name or company name, along with the logo, is located here. So, if you want to use this navbar, the code is already here on ShareWind. So, I'm going to be leaving the link here, so you can just go over to ShareWind. ShareWind is actually a website that I run, and you can go to ShareWind and just click here, copy both the HTML and the JavaScript necessary. So as you can see, it's just a little code in the JavaScript side, and our focus will be in the HTML. So this is a tutorial series in which I hope to give you a solid understanding of Tailwind CSS mainly, and some JavaScript and HTML logic. So let's start. The first thing I'm going to do is exclamation mark, then enter. This is a VS Code feature which is called image abbreviation, which will give us the HTML basic skeleton. So we just need to change the title to Tailwind uh, navbar, navbar landing page, Tailwind landing page tutorial. So I'm just going to save it and refresh here. So this is actually the live server extension in VS Code. So I just right click and open this live server here. And now if I do any changes, for example, if I write something here, as I save it, the changes will appear here. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to install Tailwind. So how do we know if Tailwind is installed? The first thing is that Tailwind has resets. CSS resets are CSS code that are meant to override the default browser code that is inserted into your actual HTML. So uh, let's just write something like, let's say hello world. So here you can see that hello world is in a serif font, and there's space here, a margin from the top and left. So when we install Tailwind, I actually just went to tailwindcss.com/docs, and in the installations, I just selected Play CDN. CDN is a content delivery network, and is not the best way to do stuff to install Tailwind for a production ready application, but this is a tutorial and I want to focus on the actual Tailwind code. So I'm just going to be using CDN. It's the easiest. We just input a script here and everything works. Now let's save, and as we go here, you can see that the margins are removed, the font family is changed to serif or system UI, and everything is working. Now that we have installed Tailwind CSS, the next thing we need to do is we need to create our HTML using semantic syntax. Semantic syntax is basically the concept that your HTML should be readable. So, for example, if I do everything in a div, everything would be messy and we won't know which part is which. So the idea of semantic HTML is one that if I, for example, this is a navbar, so I should use the header tag. So by using this, I make my HTML more clear and readable, while also having a good effect on SEO or search engine optimization. So you should always strive for semantic HTML. So in the header, the first thing you want to do is this company name or identity section. So I'm just going to select the circle logo, which is a placeholder, and I'm going to say copy as SVG. So we just paste it and save. And I'm using the prettier formatter, so that's why it is changing the layout of the code. And now we should see this circle. Next, I would like to have the company name, right? So company name. Uh, if we save, you can see it here. Now we want to make this text responsive. Uh, Responsive means that on both small screens and large screens, your HTML, your website should be very readable and usable. Uh, so let me make this bigger for you. I think this is a good size, but so uh, how do we make it responsive? So Tailwind CSS applies a rule called uh, small screen first or mobile first CSS. What that means is that your code is actually written for small screens, and as the content or the screen size gets larger, you will adapt to that. So for the small screen sizes, I will like to have a text which is small, which is text small just means that you will have text with the font size of 14 pixels. So as you can see, it got a bit smaller. But when our content becomes larger, uh, okay, this our content becomes larger, this becomes smaller. So we don't want that. So what we want to do is for large screen sizes, we want it to be actually uh, text base. Text base is 16 pixels, so a 2 pixel increase. So in order for us to do that, we just want to say small. So this indicates that text small is for small screen sizes, but when it's greater than the small screen size, we want it to be text base. Now it is larger here, and if we again inspect it, as it is larger here, when reach some point, it becomes smaller. I'm not sure if it is noticeable, but it is changing. Uh, to see that in action, we can actually say uh, hidden and small block. This means it should be hidden, meaning display none, and above small screen sizes, it should be block. So now you don't see it, but now you do. So as we move on, let's just remove this hidden part, and I want to give it a dark background. The background I'm actually using is uh, class is actually 14141414. I think I 141414, sorry, in hex. So I'm actually gonna apply it to the body, and I'm gonna say bg, and since the 1414 hex value is not default a default value in Tailwind, I would open and close brackets, and I'm gonna give it a custom value, which is 1414, and now as I save, our body should be darker. But the text got darker too, so we just want to say text white, which is FFF, and now our text is white. Another thing is when we look at the design, we see that it is bold. So I'm just going to say font bold for the text, and it's bold. One last thing, everything's uppercase here. So if we go to the Tailwind CSS docs, which is you should learn these docs and have them open whenever you want to do something with Tailwind, because it's the source of your knowledge. So you can see that this uppercase class gives it an uppercase style. So we say uppercase, and now everything here is uppercase. So you should always have this docs open because Tailwind have hundreds or maybe thousands of classes and you can't learn them all. So you should have a reference. So now that we have this finished, let's just move on. And we want the logo to be side by side, which is a very simple thing to do. We just want to first group them. So div and just group them. And we want to say class and we want to give it a class of flex. Flex means flexbox, which will be side by side. Items. Uh, so I think by default, when you say flex, okay, so in the body header, when you say flex, it does not have uh, a central alignment. So we want to do that manually. So we don't say items center. So meaning it will be center aligned. Now in this case it's not noticeable, but it makes a change. So we want to say gap 2. Gap 2 means an 8 pixel gap. Now that this is complete, we want to move on to the next part, which is this here, which is the nav links. So there's a neat trick in VS Code where it's called image abbreviations, and we just need to write some CSS selectors, and it will generate HTML for you. So we just want to say li, then inside of that li, we need an a, and inside of that a, we need a couple of classes. So text extra small, which is 14 pixels, and at big screens, text small, which is so extra small is 12 pixels and small is 14 pixels. Uh, then after that, we want it to be not only um, one item, but you want it to be actually, I think four, right? So yeah, four. Four items. So four, and let's do this and four items. So here, so I can say root path for the home, but for the others, I'm going to leave it blank so that you can fill it out for your own project. I'm just going to say home, about, products, and finally blogs. So I would like to change this div first here. I want to make it anchor tag since most of the time logos are actually links. Even in the Tailwind CSS website, the logo here, the identity, is actually a link. Even in ShareWind, as you hover over it, you can see that it's a link. So if we just make it to the home path and save. Now this is a link and we have these links. And since the home page is our current page, we're going to say font bold. So in actual projects, you will have JavaScript logic to detect which is the current page and apply the style for it. But this is the one page course, so no problem. So as you can see, it's bold. Let's continue and let's make them side by side. So as always, so we just say class flex items center, and the last thing is we want to give them a gap. So here it's 48. 48 in Tailwind is 12. So we just want to say gap 12. As we save them, you can see it here. So what about the responsiveness? So at this size, let them be. But when we get to a smaller size, we don't want them to appear since we're going to be having a mobile navigation. So we just want to say small, hidden. So above small screen sizes, just be hidden. Uh, so okay, so it seems like I reversed it, and in small sizes be hidden, but when it gets large, be a flex. So let's remove this initial flex here, and now when we get to a larger size, it flexes. So moving on, we want to finish this part, which is the contact us button. So it's very simple. So first of all, we need a button. You can make it a link, but just I'm going to make it semantic and I'm going to make it a button. Contact us. Actually, since I'm going to be sharing it on Tailwind, which is the website I told you about, I'm going to make it a link since many people want to use it as a link. So I'm going to say href, and I'm going to leave it blank, and text small, and a small text base as usual. This time I'm going to give it BG Violet 700, and let's see how that works. Okay, so it's applying. So BG Violet 700 is a Tailwind color. You can see the colors in Tailwind. I think there is. Okay, yeah, here in the customization section, you have colors, which is a list of all the available colors in Tailwind CSS. So now we have the button. Let's customize it and make it bold first of all. And we want the padding. On the X direction, we want it to be 6. And on the Y direction, we want to be, so Y means block, X means inline. If you're not familiar, X means from the sides and Y means from top and bottom. You want to put a 3 here. 6 means 24 and 3 means 12. So now we have this sort of layout. Am I correct here? So okay, it's actually 8 on the top and bottom, so that's 2. Okay, now rounded full, and we have our button here working. So we styled this correctly. Now what we want to do is we want to generate the HTML that will make it side by side. But before that, we want to make it responsive, right? So we just, okay, let's remove this part first of all, since this won't be available on larger, on small screen sizes. So you want to say hidden, hidden, and a small block. So here on large screen sizes, and on small screen sizes it disappears. So we're gonna be fixing everything here regarding the layout, so don't worry about it. Moving on large screen sizes, we want it to be side by side, right? So we just go to the header and we want to say flex items center as usual, and this will put it side by side. But one difference here is we want it to be separated here. So we want to say justify between. What will this do basically is give them space, the full space around them. So let's go to actually the website, and in the width section, let's scroll down. Okay, so it doesn't have the width I'm looking for, so I'm gonna do it manually. Let's say that this is max W, meaning maximum width of 1280 pixels, and also a padding px padding inline of 4, meaning 16 pixels. Finally, we want to say uh, mx, meaning margin x, margin inline, left and right also. So now we have this layout where it is not pressed to the sides. So if we actually remove this, okay, let's actually simulate a larger size. So if we simulate a larger size, at certain point it stops growing because this is the maximum it can go. And on small screen sizes, it will disappear. So this is responsive navbar. So now we have the, let's actually finish the desktop version of the navbar by just saying py4 and meaning p4, which is py and px combined. So now some space on the top and bottom. So now the desktop version is complete. We want to move on to the smaller mobile version. As you can see here, it is non-existing, so it's empty. So what we want to do is create a mobile version of the links and the call to action, which is just a contact us link. So we want to say div. Actually, we want to also do is wrap this navbar with a uh, nav element, a nav tag. This is basically a semantic way of describing the main navigation of our website. So now let's create and let's copy this whole part, the nav and the link, the call to action, into this div. So this div will, okay, let's just refresh, maybe. Okay, so yeah, okay, so let's just take this div, let's cut it out. And so for some reason it's not applying. Okay, that's because maybe we just misformatted it. Okay, no problem. So we have this part, and which part did we say? Okay, so on the larger screen sizes, this doubled because we don't want everything to be hidden on small screen sizes. We want this to be hidden, but not this part. Okay, so we just want to remove this from here. We want to remove it both from navbars, so now they appear always, and that's kind of what we want, but not exactly. So we want to remove this part from when it's large. So we just want to select. Let's remove the extra div. We want to select this div and give it a class where it is hidden on large screen sizes only, so small hidden. Now on large screen sizes it does not appear, but on small screen sizes it does appear. Yeah, so we're moving into completing it. So now let's just style it. We want here we want flex, flex and flex call items. Okay, instead of this we can say space y, meaning the y space, the space between elements in the y direction should be 4, meaning 16 pixels. And you can see a bit more space. Now let's actually decrease it to 2. This looks good. And we can say class mb2, meaning margin bottom 2. Let's increase that to 4. Okay, yeah. So now we have this working, and let's make this block actually. Since A tags are not actually block elements, let's make them blocks. Okay, so now we would like to decrease the rounded full parts. Rounded full is the border radius, by the way. We want to make it large, which is 8 pixels. This is better. And we want to give this border gray 500. Also, we want to say rounded large or 8 pixels. So yeah, the final thing we want to do is we want to give it a 16 pixel padding all over. So from the top and bottom and from the sides. Okay, now that we have this uh, navigation styled, what we want to do is not actually display it, but hide it. So you would like to say hidden. So now it does not appear, and mobile navigation should not appear always. So only when you click a certain button is when it should appear. So you just want to go up here uh, and create a button. I'm gonna be calling it open menu. Let's actually say open menu in a small case. So open menu. Let's style it a bit. So let's just say class text extra small text. So it only appears in small. So on large screen size we want to make this invisible. So small hidden. So now this is still working. So small here. Now we want to give it an outline, not a border, because we would like to animate a bit of the background and outline. So you cannot animate borders. Well, you can, but it's not good practice. So we just want to give it an outline of 1 pixels, and outline gray 500. Okay, we would like to say rounded full and padding 2, meaning padding of 8 pixels. Sorry, let me. So now we have this menu, and actually I'm going to change a part of it. I'm going to be making this for only for the Y, and for the X just going to increase it to 3 and 12 pixels and 8 pixels. Okay, so now it is working. Now when we click this, we want the navbar to appear and disappear. So this is the time we write some JavaScript. I'm going to be creating a file called main.js, and I'm going to be linking it here. I'm just going to say script source main.js. So usually you import your script or JavaScript files at the bottom, but now so I'm doing it in the head to be more organized. I'm going to use the defer attribute, which will make it load after your HTML has finished loading. Now, continuing on, we first need the button, right? So we just want to say const. I'm going to call it nav toggle and document dot get element by ID. You could use curly selector, but I'm using this to be more specific. Get element by ID, then we say nav toggle. So we have to apply this ID to the element, which is located around here. Yeah, so we just want to say ID nav toggle. And now we would like to add an event listener. Nav toggle dot add event listener, the event would be a click event, and on click, we just want to maybe console the log toggle click, just to test if it's working, if everything's fine. So let's go over to the console. Okay, so this seems like guest element by ID. Okay, we don't need this in guest element by ID, just the name. So now when we click, you can see that it's working. Now, instead of just console login toggle clicked, we want to make the we want to make this visible then invisible. So how do we do that? So first we should give it an ID. Let's say mobile menu. So just say const mobile menu equals document dot get element by ID again. Then we'll say mobile, okay, mobile menu, right? Okay. Then we just want to say mobile menu dot class list, okay, class list, which is the list of classes it has, and dot add a class called hidden. So now if we click it, so sorry, we want to remove the class of hidden. So now when we click it, it removes. But now if we click it again, it's just removing something that does not exist since we already removed it. So it's a toggle, not just for opening. So we want to do is we want to get the state. So is nav if is mobile menu open, and initially it will be false since when the page loads it is closed. And we just want to say if is mobile menu open, we want to do a couple of stuff. Okay, so if it is open, we want to add the hidden, we want to add the hidden class to it, the first thing. Then we want to return here. So this is a JavaScript concept, which is just return in an if statement if you don't want the, so if the mobile menu is open, we do this, which means we just add the hidden class and make it invisible. But if it's not, we're returning here, so everything will be just, if it is not, this will occur, which will just be hiding it. Okay, so click, and now when we click, it is not working. Why is that? Remove hidden, and okay, let's just add block. Let's try. Okay, so the reason it's not working is because we have to toggle the state, right? We have to come here and say is mobile menu equals true. You have to make it, sorry, you have to make it true here. Then we return, so we can also return this. Okay, this is our return statement. And here we just want to say is mobile open, we want to say false. Now we are just toggling it, so when we click, so it's constant variable, so let's make this let, we want to be able to change it. So now when we click, the is mobile menu open will become true. So okay, actually we reversed it, since this should be false and this should be true. Now when we click, that would be true. When we click, that would be false, and we're toggling it. Now when we are opening this, we don't want it to be actually like this, so you want to style it even more. Let's go here and say absolute top, sorry, right be 0, actually 4, top would also be 90%. Let's say, yeah, top 90%. I forget the actual syntax. I think it is 11 over 12. Okay, so top 11 over 12. Okay, so we click. Okay, so it's working. Kinda, it's working kinda. So actually, let's say 90%. Okay, so the reason this is happening is because we need to go over here to the header and we want to say relative, since we want the absolute value to be relative to the header. So now when we toggle, it's working. So it's working great. Everything is working. It is responsive, but there's one problem is when we expand this, uh, when we hover over this in desktop, and when we hover over everything, everything is static. So we want to change that actually. So we want to just make everything animated and whatnot. So I'm not actually going to do that in this video. This video focused on making a responsive navbar, which is what you see here. Okay, so it's responsive completely. So you can open and close it on mobile. So it's working. So in the future, we're going to be adding those functionalities. We're going to be creating this full modern looking landing page or part of landing page. And this tutorial series is actually a preparation. It's going to be get you familiar with uh, uh, Tailwind CSS, but I'm going to be creating another tutorial series where we create a complete landing page with animation and CMS integration, data, so many things. So subscribe to not miss the upcoming parts where we create the hero section. And yeah, you could also go and share your components on ShareWind. I'm going to be leaving the link here. You can also go manually. Just go to share components and share what you want to share, what Tailwind components you have. Thanks for watching. I hope this video gave you value. Until the next part, goodbye.